Annually, the students elect two of their own to speak on behalf of the class at commencement. This year, two students who are respected school-wide and known for their deep engagement in the life of the Fletcher community, Pedro, Cadenas, Casillas, and Latifah Aslan. Come on up, Pedro. Both were recently inducted into Honor Civicus, the University Honor Society, which recognizes students who have demonstrated an exceptional commitment to civic engagement and leadership during their time at Fletcher. Pedro Cadenas Casillas, a Mulled student, concentrated his Fletcher studies in public international law and human rights. He's a graduate of the Monterey Institute of Technology, where he majored in international relations. Prior to Fletcher, he worked for Peace Brigades International in Guatemala and for Citizens in Support of Human Rights in his native Mexico. At Fletcher, among other things, he's been the teaching assistant for our course on international treaty behavior, a member of our human rights practicum, co-president of the Fletcher Latin America group, an advisor to Peace Brigades International, and the author of several articles in the Fletcher Forum of World Affairs. He also attended classes from time to time and wrote some excellent papers. This summer, Pedro will be working with the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights in Washington, D.C. I invite Pedro to come forward and speak.
Thank you. Let me start with first things first. Thank you so much, Dean Johnston, for that kind introduction. Expanding on that, on behalf of the class of 2019, this year you took the mantle of the deanship, you opened your doors for us, and you have been a source of inspiration. I think you heard our noise back then in the commencement, and thank you so much for this transitional year. Thank you so much for all your efforts. So thank you. Perhaps even more importantly, thank you for acting out your death in our telenovela en Fiesta Latina. I would now like to dare all other APSIA schools to say that their dean has died for them in a telenovela. Deans, faculty, administrators, staff of the Fletcher School, thank you for teaching us. Thank you for pushing us to be better. Loved ones, friends and family, fathers, mothers, grandparents, siblings, uncles and aunts, uncles and aunties, thank you for being here, physically or in spirit. Whether you came from afar or just from a couple of streets away, it is your strength, your support, and your belief in us that led us to this moment. We would not be here without you. Thank you for being here at the Fletcher School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Sorry, there's muggles in the room. Law and diplomacy, that's what we do here. Today I have the honor to represent the class of 2019. MIBs, LLMs, MAs, PhDs, MATAs, MAHAs, and MALs. Thank you for honoring me with the position of delaying your diploma for 7 more minutes. Unless my male privilege kicks in and I start speaking for more than my allotted time. Can you really trust men in positions of power? I'm not quite sure. But fear not, fellow supporters of diversity and inclusion. As some of you know, I am not exactly your straight cisgender male. That's right, some of you may know that I have a unibrow. And I have done my research, ceteris paribus, with a 95% confidence interval. I am probably the only unibrowed student to have spoken at Fletcher Commencement. So now we can keep our elite traditions of patting ourselves in the back for a small step towards diversity and smile onwards. We're good. We did it. We began this adventure together 2 years ago or a year ago with our visas or federal loans in hand. And I must confess, I was very scared. I was terrified in the beginning. With all this talks of fire and fury, protecting the wall, climate change in New England causing terrible winters, I was sure I was in an episode of Game of Thrones. I just hoped I would not find any White Walkers up here, but being honest, there's a couple of marches around this country that look like them. Now, we have survived the long night, or maybe not, the rain seems to be lasting, but we survived it. We read thousands of pages on business cases, international law, mediation, facilitation, arbitration, development programming, gender mainstreaming, nuclear/cyber/public/human security. We worked in Ginn Library, in Blakely's Common Room, Blakely's Kitchen, hopefully not in Blakely's Kitchen, anywhere we could find space, have a Ruby coffee, and write memos, presentations, grand strategies, op-eds, and statements. We have tried the bittersweet fruit of academia in our quest for knowledge. Some of us will now move towards PhDs. Some of us will go to job hunting in the neoliberal age. Remember, millennials, there's a couple of industries we still have to destroy. Some of us will go to our families, maybe our old families, or maybe we will start new. But regardless of what we do, let's remain conscious and critical of ourselves. Let's remain conscious of the world around us. According to my very intensive research, known as the second link in Google, if you ask how many people have master's degrees, you get a lot of statistics that say that between 6 and 10% of the world has tertiary education. If you did not feel privileged before, know that you are, academically speaking, part of the 6%. Tufts University carries the motto, Pax et Lux, which means peace and light. Our campus is known fondly as the campus on top of the hill. And if Tufts is that light on the hill, then Fletcher needs to be the beacon that spreads that orange fire every corner of the world. Our knowledge was expensive, our knowledge was costly, but I'm going to ask you for two things that might seem paradoxical right now. First, share it. Share your knowledge for free. Let the Fletcher name not be linked to hidden knowledge, but of shared opportunities and hopes. Not of elitism, but leadership and moral duty. Spread the fire like the Promethean myth. Help others access knowledge. Second, be critical. Our knowledge can trap us in hubris. It might make us believe that we know more or that we are better than everyone else. This is false. What do we really know? What does a systemic theory mean to anybody protesting the rights to exist? What does a policy memo mean to somebody wishing to marry whoever he or she loves? What does a thesis mean to someone praying for their lives? I want to give you an example. I'm sure you're aware, because I did not let you forget for 2 years, that I'm from Mexico. And if we're thinking about Mexico, we need to think that this is a country with 69% less probability of being imprisoned than in the United States. It's a country where vaccination programs have secured us no measles outbreaks in this century. It's a country that consumes 70% less oil. And with free trade agreements with 45 countries, it is by far an economy that is actually more open and accessible to other markets, almost doubling those countries of the United States. And yet, in these academic halls, we still speak of it as a third world. We still say developing. We still say the others. Can we unlearn this? Let us not presume that what we have learned is now the only way to see the world. We might risk repeating the cycles of historical violence that humankind has come to know. Let us decolonize our knowledge. Fletcher class of 2019, whether you end up working in the marbled halls of your capital cities or the dirt roads in the corners of the world, know that you have the tools to help and serve others. Work for the future, and more importantly, work for a future that you do not get to see, a future that you might not benefit from. Otherwise, we have doomed humanity to the present. I leave you now with the words of wisdom from two very powerful women. The first one, Isabel Allende, a Latina author, cousin to Salvador Allende. You Americans might remember this president, democracy promotion. And in any case, Isabel Allende said, give, give, give. What is the point of having experience, knowledge, or talent if I don't give it away? Of having stories if I don't tell them to others? Of having wealth if I don't share it? It is in giving that I connect with others, with the world, and with the divine. The second words of wisdom I leave you with is with Latifah Aslan, an incredible friend and undoubtedly one of the greatest sources of inspiration that anybody could ever have as a fellow classmate at Fletcher. Class of 2019, it is our turn to give to others. It has been an honor to be with you these 2 years. It has been an honor to speak right now. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Pedro. And you set the stage for our next speaker very well. Latifah Aslan, a Mold student, concentrated her Fletcher studies in political systems and theories, international information and communication, and human security. Latifah earned her bachelor's degree in international relations from Boston University. Prior to Fletcher, she worked for the Malaysian Ministry of Defense and then for the Institute of Strategic and International Studies in her native Kuala Lumpur. At Fletcher, she has, among other things, been a teaching assistant for our course on influencing policy and the global debate, co-president of the Fletcher Islamic Society and the Fletcher Students of Color and Allies, a conference chair for our inaugural Decolonizing International Relations Conference, and the managing web editor for the Fletcher Forum of World Affairs. I invite Latifah to come forward and speak.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Greetings of peace and blessings to all of you. It is a great honor and privilege for me to stand here today to speak at Fletcher's 2019 commencement ceremony. Congratulations, everyone. Over the last year or two, you've spent countless days and nights in so many corners of this campus and this city, all in pursuit of a piece of paper that will hopefully open many more doors and lead you to the future you've dreamed for yourselves. I hope that just for this weekend, you'll set aside any worries you may have about the job search, the move to DC or abroad, and even any unfinished capstones to celebrate this occasion with your friends and family. Thank you, Dean Ian Johnstone, for your kind and generous introduction. Dean Johnstone's course on international organizations was one of the first classes I took at Fletcher, and to receive my diploma from him today feels like my time here is coming full circle. Thank you also to Professor Kimberly Tyden, of whom I am incredibly grateful to be able to call myself a student. Without her guidance and support, I would not have been able to accomplish many of the things I set out to achieve as a Fletcher student. Professor Tyden, congratulations again on winning the Paddock Award. I cannot think of a more deserving teacher and mentor for this distinction. And not forgetting the great Pedro Cadenas, of course. That was an incredibly beautiful speech, and I was cleaning out my locker and found a PDP exercise we worked on together where you helped me with my resume. And today, I'm very proud to call you a close friend. Pedro, thank you for your friendship. You lead by example, and I strive every day to be as patient and graceful as you are to so many of us. And finally, to the Fletcher friends and family who have come from near and far to be here today, welcome to Medford. Sorry. This achievement is just as much a product of the hard work and sacrifices you have all made for each of us. Thank you for your relentless support and fierce love without which we would not have had the confidence to venture out into this world to find our own paths. Mama, Abba, Isa, and Hanan, this is for you. I would like to begin my remarks today by reciting an extremely truncated version of one of my favorite poems called Mahasiswa, or Graduates, which was written by Malaysian poet and literary great Usman Awang. Mahasiswa dari kota tanah air, bangunlah. Angkat matamu dari buku, lampaui dinding, lampaui tembok. Semua menunggumu mengajakmu ke tengah jalan raya kota. Kerana tenagamu dengan ilmu di dada akan merombak erti hidup sebuah negara. You may have noticed that I recited this poem in my mother tongue and the language it was originally written in, which is Malay. My family and perhaps only a handful of you in the audience today may have understood what I just said, so I'm going to try my best to translate the meaning of this poem in a way that truly encapsulates its beauty and its profundity. Like many of you here, I came to Fletcher with great ambitions. Standing up for human rights, eradicating poverty, strengthening transatlantic relations, improving the delivery of humanitarian aid, using business for social impact. Regardless of the reason you chose to come to Fletcher, I believe that all of us ultimately arrived here with one goal in mind, and that is to make the world a better place. Instead, what I discovered during my time here was the importance of making our community a better place. This was my true lesson as a Fletcher student, that activism and advocacy begins in our immediate surroundings, and no matter how noble our intentions are, we cannot hope to make the world a better place if we are not actively and consistently thinking about making our communities better too. The poem I recited is in fact a call to action to do just that. To me, it is the core message that lies at the heart of my Fletcher education, and it is why I chose to share it with Fletcher's 2019 graduates, because these lessons are inextricably linked to the mission of the Fletcher School and to the essence of its community. I have personally witnessed the efforts that so many of you have put into making this campus a better place for everyone. You have organized conferences, planned culture nights, led student organizations, collaborated on group projects, established support groups, and served on student council, all for the sake of community and kinship. And why did you do all of these things? To destigmatize mental health, to push for gender equality, to decolonize international relations, to foster intercultural dialogue and understanding, to decarbonize the electric grid. This list is by no means exhaustive, but it is representative of the changes you sought to make in this elite community. Yet we still have a long way to go, because while our community is a sanctuary for some, it is the source of pain for others, and the uncomfortable truth is that even here, there is much for us to improve. While Medford may be a bubble, Fletcher itself is not special. All that is good and bad in this world is reflected right here on Packard Avenue, and if you believe that what happens in our community is detached from what is happening across the world, you would be sorely mistaken. As an example, we shuffle through these hallways, passing by each other on our way to class to discuss human rights, all while some members of our own community were fighting for their right to basic health care and a livable minimum wage. A Fletcher degree is a tremendous responsibility that we now bring into the world. Our expertise and data may help us comprehend some of the problems we face, but they cannot replace the richness of the lived experiences of the people whose lives we seek to improve through the governments and organizations we'll find ourselves working with someday. Improving a community, our community, no matter where we find them, involves more than just theories and theses. It requires the courage to admit that we do not have all the answers, nor may we ever. The wisdom to continuously seek knowledge from others, including those who are often excluded from privileged and elite institutions such as Fletcher, and the humility to truly understand and accept the positionality we hold and privileges we carry in the spaces we move through and what that means for our line of work. Before I leave, please allow me to once again recite the same portion of Usman Awang's Mahasiswa but this time in English. Graduates from the heart of the homeland, rise. Lift your eyes from these pages and beyond these walls. All are waiting, inviting you to the middle of the path. Because your energy and the knowledge you carry within you will define the soul of a nation. So go out there and change the world. Make your communities better. Take care of your people and advocate for everyone else. But do it critically, do it thoughtfully, do it selflessly, and do it compassionately. Thank you, good luck, and don't mess it up.
Thank you, Latifah. And thank you, Latifah and Pedro and all of the many other students who have done so much to make this a better place. We are grateful.